The first meeting is really a get-to-know-you meeting. We're going to sit down. Typically, the meeting will last about an hour. We're having a conversation. My job is to ask them some questions about where they are, what some of their goals are, what some of the key objectives they have in meeting with me, where they are to this point, and really what brought them in to see me. And now I'm at the point in my career where I have a lot of people that are dependent upon me to provide them with all the guidance and all the advice that we do on a day-to-day basis.
You spend your working years trying to build up your assets, trying to build up pension credits at your job, trying to grow your nest egg so that you can one day retire when you can't work or don't want to work anymore. And that's a period followed by phase two, which is retirement. And your priorities in these two phases are very different, but many times we see people don't make that shift and they still act like they're in phase one when they really should be acting like they're in phase two.
We're going to talk to you about what we commonly refer to as the second half of the game. And what I mean by that is you're working your entire life towards retirement, and I'm assuming that most of you are, at that age where you're starting to consider some of your options as you move into retirement. And as you do that, you're moving from what we call the accumulation phase of your life, where you're accumulating your assets. Maybe you're participating in your company's 401k, maybe you're contributing to an IRA account or a Roth IRA account or some type of retirement vehicle. And now, as you retire, you're transitioning into the distribution phase, or the part where you're going to need income in retirement. So we're going to talk about some different ways to do that with an emphasis on Social Security. Welcome, everyone, to today's edition of Financially Speaking. I'm Jeff Bush, and I'll be your host today. We've been getting quite a few questions in our mailbag regarding our show, and today I thought I would answer some of the more popular ones that we've been getting. Most of our questions center around Social Security, especially some of the changes that have been taking place in November of last year. So the first question is, I know I will get Social Security when I retire, but that won't be enough. What other sources of income are available to me? We commonly refer to this as the three-legged stool. In retirement, you'll be getting a Social Security benefit. Some people are going to get a pension. And when you have to rely on retirement savings to fund the rest of your retirement. Retirement looks very different today than it did 30 years ago, when pensions made up a majority of retirement income. Now, for married couples, about 37% of their income is going to come from Social Security. Our next question is, can you explain the difference between investing while I'm working and investing while I'm retired? We refer to this as accumulation versus distribution. While you're working, or the accumulation phase, the emphasis is on growth. You really aren't too worried much about market risk because you're getting a paycheck to live on. During the distribution phase, you're concerned about income creation and wealth preservation. It's like mountain climbing. 80% of mountain climbing accidents actually happen on the descent. Why is that? It's because most people treat the climb down the mountain like the climb up. And it is very different. You have to change your strategy. So if you have any questions that you would like us to answer here on Financially Speaking, you can submit them to us either by email at info@informedfamily.com, or if you want to send us an email, you can do that too, or send us, you give us a phone call. Also, we do a lot of public engagements,
And we're going to be right here in Pottstown on March 9th. We're going to be at Lily's Grill. So if you want to come out to our workshop, we're going to concentrate on Social Security during that workshop. So call us for tickets if you're interested in coming. That's at Lily's right here in Pottstown on March the 9th. Our next question is, at what age can I receive full Social Security benefits? The answer to that is, it depends when you were born. If you were born in 1954 or before, your full retirement age is 66. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. If you were born somewhere in between, it's 66 and a few months. Now, in our next slide, we show the impact of taking an early benefit. So if you take your benefit at age 62 instead of age 66, you're going to get a permanent reduction of 25%. So if your full retirement age benefit is $2,300, you're now going to get $1,725. Conversely, if you delay taking your Social Security benefit, your benefit's going to grow by 8% per year. So taking it at age 70 will result in an increase of 32% versus taking it at 66. So if you wait until you're age 70, your benefit is going to grow to $3,036. So the difference between age 62 and age 70 is significant. We're going to go from about $1,700 at age 62 to about $3,000 at age 70. Our next question, I am divorced. Can I claim a benefit on my ex-spouse? Yes, you can. For purposes of Social Security, being divorced is a lot like being married. A few things to remember. First, divorce benefits cease upon remarriage. Multiple ex-spouses can claim off of the same benefit. The benefits of one ex-spouse has no impact on the benefits of the other. In fact, Johnny Carson had 4 ex-wives collecting his Social Security benefit. Also, the marriage must have lasted at least 10 years to receive an ex-spouse benefit. What are Social Security benefits when a spouse dies? The survivor spouse receives the higher of the 2 benefits, and the lower of the 2 benefits go away. Except in the case of accident, marriage must have been at least 9 months at the date of death. So unless there's some sort of accident involved, you have to be married for at least 9 months to receive a widow, what we refer to as a widow's benefit. Now the next question is, I've heard a lot about rule changes. How does that affect someone's Social Security benefits? Well, on November the 2nd of last year, Congress agreed on new rule changes as part of a last-minute budget compromise. And it's going to eliminate 2 key features of Social Security planning. First, it's going to eliminate the file and suspend strategies for married couples, and we're going to get into that next. And it also removed the restricted application strategy. So let's look at claim and suspend. Yeah. These are loopholes that are still going to be available for the next several months. At full retirement age, the spouse with higher earnings applies for Social Security benefits, but then immediately suspends the benefit. The spouse with the lower earnings then files for a spousal benefit. The spouse with higher earnings claims their benefit at age 70, or unsuspends, if you will. And in this case, they get a 32% increase in their benefit. So it's a difference between getting a benefit at age 66 and getting a benefit at age 70. So you get about 8% per year, so 32% taking it at age 70 versus taking it at age 66. The other strategy that will be eliminated is the restricted application, or what we finally call the double dip. At full retirement age, the spouse with the higher earnings record applies for spousal benefits. Keep in mind that the spouse must already be receiving benefits. Then, at age 70, the spouse then switches over to their own benefit, getting a 32% higher benefit. Okay, so that's a restricted application. So, more about these rule changes. If you reach age 66 before May 1st of 2016, you can still file under the old rules. So this is going to allow you to still coordinate spousal benefits. If you were 62 before December 31st of last year, 2015, you'll be permitted to claim just spousal benefits when you turn 66. This assumes that your spouse claims or files and suspends before the May 1st, 2016 deadline. And if you did not reach 62 by December 31st of 2015, you'll be subject to the deeming rules, which means you have to claim on your own record. So there's quite a few changes that took place last year, and the important thing is that you have to be aware of what benefits are available to you. So you know, as is kind of typical when you make these kind of changes, they're complicated, confusing, hard to understand. So it might benefit you to get a consultation with a financial professional. If you're interested in contacting us, our information's right up there on the screen. You can send us an email, info@informedfamily.com. We have our phone number up there, 610-630-4495. One thing that's important when you're contemplating Social Security and taking your benefits is you don't want to look at Social Security in a vacuum. There's so many other things to consider when you take your Social Security benefits. I think the tendency is for a lot of people just to take the benefit as soon as it's available to them, but there's really a lot more that you have to look at. For example, are you still working? Is your spouse still working? Are you enjoying good health? Is there longevity in your family? There's really a lot of things to consider when you want to look at taking a Social Security benefit. And of course, here at Informed Family Financial, we've helped hundreds of people take their Social Security benefit, and we've really been able to understand the system and look at the many different ways that there are to claim a Social Security benefit. So even though there were a lot of changes that were made in the way the Social Security rules were put into play, those changes were made last November, there's still a lot that you have to consider in a claiming strategy. So one thing that we'll offer for viewers today is we're going to be able to run a personalized Social Security report. So this will tell you exactly what your benefits are going to be if you want to take your benefits early, if you want to take them at full retirement age, or if you want to take delayed credits and take your Social Security benefit at a later time. So if you're interested in doing that, again, give our office a call and we'll be happy to help you with that. It might be a good way to at least get a start on planning for Social Security. And it's never too early to start thinking about Social Security and how you're going to claim your benefit. We talk to a lot of people that maybe are still, they're still working. They might be in their 50s, early 60s. It's time to start planning because, and we're going to, I want to pull up a slide from earlier, the three-legged stool, the retirement stool, if we could get that slide up on the screen. It's really important to look at Social Security as just part of the overall plan. So we have the three-legged retirement income stool. So we have Social Security, we have a pension, and then we have investments. So retirement today is very different than it was, say, 30 years ago. So we like to say, this is not your father's retirement. A generation ago, when you retired, most people had a pension. And that pension, coupled with Social Security, was really the bulk of income in retirement. Well, today it's vastly different because you have Social Security, and Social Security makes up about 37%, let's say about a third of your Social Security, or a third of your total income in retirement is going to come from Social Security. So you can see that it's a very important decision. It's kind of like managing a large asset. It's like managing an asset of anywhere between $600,000 and $800,000 because that's really how much you're going to get in Social Security over your lifetime. And when you look at other sources of retirement, you're going to get a pension, and then you have retirement savings. So you might have an IRA, you might have a 401k, and those assets have to be managed, and we have to look at risk. So today's retiree has to deal with the risk of the stock market. And the stock market is a very treacherous place to be. And a generation ago, most retirees didn't have to worry about that because their retirement sources were fixed sources. Their Social Security and their pension really weren't subject to market risk. So it's really, the landscape has really changed. And one of the ways that we look at it at our firm is we want to take as much of the market risk out of retirement planning as we possibly can. So that means a couple of things. We want to look at making sure we're making the right decision when it comes to claiming a Social Security benefit. That's number one. And then number two, we want to make sure we're providing as many guarantees as we possibly can when it comes to the investment side of it. So it's impossible to eliminate all risk from your retirement savings, but we want to eliminate as much as we can. When we look at the interest rate environment that we're in historic low numbers. We see people that have money in the bank with a money market or a CD, and they're making next to nothing, maybe 1% if they're lucky on a money market, maybe 2% if they've got a CD that's, you know, over a 5-year period of time. So there's really a lot of things that we have to consider when it comes to risk in your retirement portfolio. So to get more than what a bank is giving you, or what I refer to as a riskless rate of return, we have to go into other elements of investing. We have to look at bonds. Maybe we have to look at some structured notes. Maybe we have to look at annuities. We have to look at something that's going to maybe increase your risk somewhat, and maybe also address what your liquidity needs are. And liquidity is also an important factor when it comes to retirement. And I guess the best way to look at that is when you have money in a money market account, it's totally liquid. You could go down to the bank today and pull all of your money out of a money market account. With some of these other instruments, that's not the case. So if you have an annuity, for an example, or even if you're buying a bond, even though the bond itself may be liquid, it's still more of a longer term investment, because the bonds are really, it might be a 10-year bond or even a 30-year bond. So you really want to look at a longer type strategy. Annuities typically come with long surrender periods. So you want to look in your portfolio at, I call this being long. So what being long means is that you want to make sure that you're going to have this investment over a longer period of time. So we have to address, we have to address multiple needs here. We have to make sure that we've got enough liquidity in our portfolio to meet immediate needs, but then we want to take advantage of what's available in the market and get higher yields by staying long and maybe being in investments that have a longer time horizon, such as an annuity or a bond, or even getting into the equity market. When we talk about being in the equity market, so stocks, with a stock investment, you want to be even longer, meaning that your time horizon is going to be pushed out, because there's going to be temporary fluctuation in the performance of that underlying stock. But the hope and the goal is that if you hold that stock or that equity position over a longer period of time, you're going to be rewarded for the risk that you're taking. So there's a whole spectrum of things that you have to consider, and it really starts at how you're getting your income in retirement. So it gets back to how you're getting your Social Security income. So that's why Social Security is such a crucial decision, because with Social Security, it's like managing an asset of somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000. A lot of people don't really think of it that way. They really think of it as, well, I'm entitled to it. I worked my life paying into Social Security. Now I'm entitled to my benefit. And all that is very true. But you want to make sure that you're taking your Social Security benefit in an intelligent way, and you're not leaving money on the table. So in other words, if you're going to live into your 90s, then it may benefit you to wait to take that Social Security benefit, because you're going to be getting a larger check, a much larger check, over a longer period of time. So in other words, if you take it at 62, you're going to get a 25% reduction, let's say, versus taking it at 66. Well, that 25% reduction is permanent. So you're going to get that 25% reduction for the rest of your life. So it really pays you to consider waiting if you can. So we have to look at how we're going to get our retirement sources. And what I have found is people vastly underestimate how long they're going to live in retirement. And really, if you're 66 years old, there's really a better than 50% chance if you're a married couple that one of you is going to make it to age 90. So anyway, we're running out of time here today. It was really, I think, a beneficial discussion talking about Social Security. It was good to get to some of the questions that we've been getting from our viewers. So until next time, I'm Jeff Bush, and this is Financially Speaking.